The Mediterranean caravan. 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 The Mediterranean The Mediterranean caravan. Learning and sharing agroecology.
Lumboye vendela ura, lumboye vendela ura, plante suna guiado, plante suna guiado.
Welcome back to the Mediterranean Agroecology Caravan podcast. My name is Jocelyn Parot. I am the General Secretary of Urgency, the international network of community-supported agriculture. Last spring, I was lucky enough to take part in a training for agroecology knowledge collectors organized in Belgrade, Serbia. During the trip, I teamed up with Denis Carrel, a shepherd from the southern part of France, and François Guiton, a longtime member of the French AMAP movement. On our way back from the training, we chose to breathe life into the Mediterranean caravan of agroecology by identifying groundbreaking agroecological initiatives. From the mountains, we headed back to the region of Belgrade. We wanted to see the permaculture demo garden that got just started by Demijan. And so we entered the garden. Would you like to please lead us and explain what?
So just a brief introduction. We have three locations here in Krčedin, pretty much hard to pronounce. This is our house where we live in. It's in the center of the village. We have an orchard. Polyculture orchard on the Danube River, which is here 1 kilometer close to it, really. And also we have another field in the let's say this rural area surrounded by monoculture crops. So those three locations, in total, it's a little bit above 3 hectares. And this is the place where we are here is focused for us to be a demo garden. So everything that we do, all the practices that we try to scale up on other locations are shown here in, let's say, small scale. And it's what we try to push for is the things that we try to educate, to try to share with other people, are always the things that we first tested here. So if we are not sure about something, if it's still in, let's say we have a lot of projects that are still, that we are still learning from, we try not to share about this, but only things that are working. And that's how we are already proud that I would say more than 200 people for now visited this place. And yeah, and the trickiest part that I also want to emphasize is that we have our day jobs. And this is really our passion, our life. This is why I feel I live on this planet. This is something that makes me whole, that I enjoy the most. And we are slowly transitioning and hopefully we will find a way to live from this full time. So this here is just a park area where our dogs are usually. And in here we have a small part where we have nursery. Mm-hmm. This is really important for us because we are now, I mentioned this before, this part Vojvodina region in Pannonian Plain. This is the most deforested area in Europe. We have a heavy conventional agriculture focused around monoculture here without any kind of regenerative practices. And yeah, losing forests is something that comes with it. So for us bringing back a lot of trees in a surrounding area and Within that context, we have a lot of nurseries on each and every of the locations we have, where we want to push for a native species mostly to bring them back in the area. And yeah, one of the contexts in that is having a lot of trees that we grow, and as well as I mentioned our day jobs, where we try to get much more resources to buy more land, which is our ultimate goal, to have this large scale mix of forestry systems interconnected with vegetable production, as well as a lot of education around this. So yeah, you will see it's pretty much sketchy, the farm. It's something that we do still on our part-time, but we are doing our best. So yeah, this is the area that we just finished building, this part of which we use for nursery. And here I always want to go back to the elderberry. Elderberry is one of the native species, Sambucus nigra, a native species of this area, which is I would say has the most important spot here. We focus it has the biggest growth in the season. You can use it for mulching, for producing biomass. It is awesome for birds. You can use flowers for a lot of things for humans, to create the syrup for juice and so on. But also it's a sacrificial tree, and you just, if you have problems with aphids or stuff like that, you just put elderberry next to the tree, and you will see all the aphids jump on fresh green leaves of elderberry. And for us, even though it's not something that we read about, again, observing from the nature, it's something that we just saw here, and for us, you will see elderberry everywhere. We declined the war to plastics, and we are trying to use it at least as possible. But there are some remains of it. This system with bottles. You could feel like it's good because you recycle those plastic bottles, but in essence, you're just making more microplastic, and it's bad. Yeah. Please go fast. Because of this route, I have no idea where these guys will be pretty loud now. Having poultry in the system, of course, a lot of benefits with it. The thing that we like about poultry the most is their ability to turn the compost for us. So this is the biggest reason why we have them. Of course, we are running now. As you can see, this area is completely grazed by them. So they are just turning the compost pile here, and they have 3 areas here where we rotate. So this other one is now restoring, a lot of greens starting. Of course, the grass for geese, which is amazing for them and amazing for us because we don't have to mow them. So yeah, this is the area. Let's go here because they will be. Please, I will just hold this. So yeah, when we come here, we always want to focus on showing people stuff. The chicken and all the poultry is always amazing. The best compost producing without any effort from our side. Of course, you get the eggs, and for us, we are not. They are our family, so we are not eating them. But yeah, of course, we have nothing against that. It also can be a source of income. So yeah. One more thing worth mentioning: the greenhouse. Even though we built it to have, let's say, extension of the season. We realized in the meanwhile that there are many native plants that can survive in these, let's say, frosty periods and so on. So we are now using this fully for water storage. We have a lot of barrels inside. It never freezes. And it's just an easy way to have water for poultry in winter, because you just open the valve and feed them water without any problems. And for us, water is also important resource because, again, I mentioned this area being heavily used by conventional agriculture. So we are losing these riparian forests with the water. And amphibians are in huge decline in Europe. So this is something that we focus around heavily. And having this groundwater and collecting rainwater as much as possible is very important for us. So we have a lot of ponds and lakes on each of our locations, and this is something great for the kids when we talk about life cycle of amphibians. The newts that came to this location, which are also endangered species in Serbia, is really awesome. So as you can see here, for example, we are really busy now with a lot of other tasks that are whether it's our day jobs, whether it's other locations that I talked about. So within this context, you will see that we didn't start any vegetables here. You have a lot of edible perennial species here, and we always use these beds to focus on, I would say, 3 crucial things from our perspective. One of them would be no-till gardening, so we are not disrupting the land. That would be one thing. Second thing is we always have beds covered with focusing on perennial plants. We want to have this symbiosis with, we want to have this rhizosphere biology. We want to focus on that, and we want to have live roots in the soil or through the whole of the year. So that is second thing, and we want to mulch it heavily to prevent loss of water when we have hot days. So you will see these beds here a lot. Again, testing all the native species, and especially perennial native species that are that don't have high growth, so they are close to the ground, and we mix them with vegetable garden. So as you can see here now, we are not pushing to start the garden early. We had negative degrees Celsius like 5 days ago. We just will do it sometime later in the season, but you will see now chickweed, which is awesome. You can eat it throughout the most of the year. You put it in salads. Nettle started, dead nettle, a lot of it. Onions, this, I have no idea, it's Rubik's, I have no idea, something like that in Latin. I know the word in Serbian, but unfortunately not. And you will see a lot of perennials here that we always try to talk about, to push for people to use more perennials, especially with the target for people who have their own gardens, because with perennials you don't have that much maintenance. You can do it easily. You can have a harvest, whether it's medicinal, whether it's something you can use in salads, and things like that. Ponds, really important. I mentioned some of the species. For example, this pond is built with pond liner. That's something we don't necessarily like. Trying to avoid the plastics as much as possible, but this was the first one we built. We don't have subsoil put back to it, but since we have millions of organisms in it, it's hard to find the proper time because you would have to drain it out to put everybody out. Dragonflies, which are dragonflies and newts, which are our favorite species, and of course, a lot of frogs. We are always joking that we are the biggest distributors of amphibians for this area, and we always leave the garden doors open so they can distribute and go on other locations. So ponds are really amazing. Unfortunately, we introduced fish here. This is something that we don't do anymore. Those goldfish are non-native species. It's disrupting certain biology in these ponds. We did it initially to fight the mosquitoes before we had proper knowledge about this. And mosquitoes, you fight mosquitoes without doing anything, because mosquitoes find. You see that piece of water on the on the edge of the wall. We put it, like aquarium. We put it there to demonstrate amount of mosquitoes you have in these small ponds because of their fast life cycle. They just want to have hot weather and a lot of rain, and immediately after that they are hatched and it's gone. And you know, with the dragonfly, for it to have to go out from the water, it takes 2 years for sometimes, and that's why we have, of course, a lot of mosquitoes. So in a sense, fighting mosquitoes is the best way to do it, is having more ponds that are there throughout the year and leaving water always. Unfortunately, we don't have it in Europe. We are building highways, we are extending cities, and we are draining everything we can in order to produce food. And we have 0 rivers that are, spreading out as it was in the future, to have these areas for amphibians, for a lot of insects I mentioned, fish of course as well. So this is something that's always in a center of attention, of course.
So you decided to save mosquitoes as well?
If mosquitoes are destroyed by the dragonflies, by those water beetles, by newts, so they are.
Do you have also birds sometimes, like coming around?
Yeah.
They are also like doing a big job against mosquitoes.
Yes,
I guess.
you have 2 species that are the same, and it's always amazing. You have a bat and you have a swallow. They always want to fly close to water and pick up bugs. Swallows do it during the day, and bats do it during the night. And it's always, this is the place where we sit, and then just in the morning we look for swallows, and in the evening for bats. So it's pretty great. So you would see this drop by drop system. It's connected to the lake, to the pond, and that's another way for bringing another layer of fertility to this.
You have quite a complex irrigation system. Quite a lot of lines.
Just because we tend not to waste water like this, because we consider it a really important resource. So we do it only if there's like really dry period, and when we are growing some really sensitive plants. But in general, it's like you would this is edible, this is edible, this is edible, and you would just walk around here and you would grab yourself a salad.
Definitely,
If you see these dried branches, you don't cut it in the autumn. You leave it there. There are abundance of species, insects, a lot of other species that live there, and there's no need to cut it. If you want to cut it, you do it in spring, when everything, a lot of butterflies who are spending their winter there, then they leave, and then you can cut it, mulch it, and whatever you want to do. We have
you have the berries as well.
Now this is a system that is working really great for us. We have these raspberries here, and in the back of the raspberries we have this water pond. And this one is now leaking. We need to fix it. But we use this heavily for growing azolla. You know azolla? This water plant, like a small watery, like a small leaves that live on the surface of the soil, of the water. So this plant has ability to do nitrogen fixing. And it has awesome content of protein in it. It's great for the birds. It's great for human as well, for eating.
It's edible.
Yes, and it's reproducing. I never eat it. I read that it was edible, but why we use it? It's reproducing really fast, and we can use it for mulching, like a really easy way to boost, to add another layer of fertility, to feed the birds, and it's easy way because it grows the best in the shade. So we put it always behind. This is Nor, so we put it behind the raspberries. And then we have this. We can put a pump here if we grow some specific, I don't know, let's say, sensitive species, we can always water them with again these awesome plants. And now, since it is the season, we have a lot of frogs and newts here, and it's absolutely amazing to me. Even to this day, it's amazing that this everything that you see here. We came here 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. Nothing was here. There was not a single thing on this
very beautiful.
And you now have these newts. I spend the evenings getting a flashlight and coming to the ponds. I call it night diving, and then gather pictures of all the species in water. It's and to put that in the context that I wanted to talk about, kids are the best people to talk to, because they are the future, and those interesting species, life cycle of a frog, life cycle of a newt, of a dragonfly, when they see it, they became interested in this, and these are the conversation starters. It stays in their mind, and you never know if you talk to a kid who has 7-8 years, you never know if that's next president. So this is always on.
So among the visits you have here, you said like 200 persons?
Something around that in total, yeah.
Yes. Do you include school children, or is it just adults?
Yeah. We had school groups. We had college groups. We had a lot of. We have two kinds of things that we do. One is like a full day. We have an old barn where we come, we talk about a lot of stuff, and then we go here and go into details about everything. And we have like 1 hour visits that we tend to have every month, but we want really to focus on sharing the knowledge, and always with the mindset that all of this stuff should be easy. If it's not easy, we are doing something wrong. And that's why the knowledge is everything. We have crazy things now. We have another war in Europe. Unfortunately, things are crazy. But if somebody makes you go out of your house, you can't do much about the crazy world, but you have your knowledge and you can apply it anywhere you go. In here, also, of course, it's hard to talk about anything without mentioning oaks that are really essential and keystone species. There are many books that are written only about oaks.
They are difficult to recognize when they are young, like this. Yes.
And always growing them from acorn, because it's the best way to have them as a keystone species.
The pear trees were already here before?
When we came here, we had pear trees.
Yeah.
These two.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of these apples in a row. Yeah. You see those, and that's it. This one grew for these 6 years. So nothing else was here. We are also investing a lot in growing plants from seeds, trees from seeds. Even though everybody is against it, the best plum that we have, this one here, is from the seed. Of course, you get all the risks with it. You have all the you can get genetics of both parents. It can be bad, but why not? You can always cut it and grow something else. It's also something that we are focusing on with this, let's say, resilience context. Not to stress about things. If a certain plant is not growing well, we can replace it always, and we can have dead branches for bees to live in. So there's always something good about this. And within that context, even though this is a demo garden, for everything that we do outside of here, we are really focused on native species.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
And even though we have a lot of them here, especially when we started, we tested, now we are really focused on that. And a lot of times you cannot have this knowledge for specific areas. So then you open a book written 500 years ago and you search keyword trees. Then you find really interesting sentences to see how it was used.
Is it easy for you to find? I'm not sure. Like, do you mean like native species? Also, like, for example, local species, local seeds for some of the plants we see here. Is it easy for you to find them, or is it
it's not
getting
at all.
difficult?
Yeah, it's very, very difficult
Yeah.
because first of all, it's hard to realize what is native because we have and again we have this globalization. We have a lot of introduced plants. It's hard to fight it. I don't know. There are certain. It's better to have any kind of forest, even though it's not natives. But we want, as we have this option to choose, we want to focus on natives, and we are slowly building this list of things that we have, and we also want to work with in our nurseries. For us, it's right now for us, but in the future we want to have that as something that we can offer to other people as a source of income. But always, that is a part that we are not good at. We are always trying to provide services for free, and this concept of let's say living from it, selling stuff. This is also important for us, and this is something that we need to work on in the future.
And so for the native species, once you have found, like maybe from scientific literature or collection, you have found like this is the native species, then where do you have to go? Like, do you have like seed saving groups, or do you have like gardeners locally that are like doing this work of saving local species?
Yeah, they are, but I personally didn't find anybody who does it in a way that I would expect to be done, because again, my life is revolving around this. I listen to podcasts from outside of Serbia. I read about this all the time, and I find it that in here it's not on that level. But yeah, as you mentioned, oak, you're sure that you have this species of oak that's local, and you can be quite confident about it, and you can find it in neighboring forests. Also for elderberry that I mentioned, these are two, let's say, examples. And if you want to go into some vegetables, I find it very hard, and that's why I am more and more focused around this. I mentioned chickweed, dead nettle, all those things that we are sure coming from Europe. And it's here now. I perhaps made a mistake mentioning one of those when I think, but I'm pretty sure they are native. So yeah, that's the direction that we want to go in, to have these really delicious, awesome plants that live in the garden without us spending a lot of resources on it, and we can be sure that they have place in it. Again, I'm always going back to the ecosystem. If we don't have, I know more. When I say what are you the most proud of, I'm the most proud of newts that live here.
No, this is really great. I mean, all these like intermingling vegetables and plants and trees. That's so great.
And it's each spot here serves its purpose. But you would think that this is nothing. You would think that this is just a bunch of, but it's also a conversation starter. You always have to cut certain branches here and there. You don't want to spend a lot of time moving it somewhere. You don't want to have fires, and you just pile that up. And then when you pile that up, you realize a lot of birds visit this location. So when there's a hawk nearby, you realize that those small songbirds realize that much before everybody else, and then it's alert. And then you have this context when you do this on other location. You find that rabbits want to eat these branches here, and then you have another layer of fertility close to it because of the rabbits have to poop next to it. And then all the newts and frogs are hibernating below this. And then you just, by doing something that tends to be like a bunch of branches, even it serves its purpose, and it serves its really amazing purpose. So to just answer your last question, I would say that these topics are really crucial for us. There's nothing more important about this. And each of us as an individual cannot do anything, if we have the best farms, if we are doing the best kind of stuff that we can, it's still not enough. We have so much corruption, to start with politics, to start with all the dirty industries, and the best way really that we can do is talk about this, to start conversations, to do, to have a small garden, talk about this with your neighbor. No matter what you do, don't be shy, put the word out, and this is the only way really for us to have the future on this land.
Thank you very much, Demijan, for this great conversation, and thank you also to all the plants and the trees that are wonderful conversation starters.
The Mediterranean caravan.
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 The Mediterranean
The Mediterranean caravan.
The Mediterranean caravan.
The Mediterranean caravan.
The Mediterranean caravan. The Mediterranean caravan. Learning and sharing agroecology.